Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Also, welcome to my new office that is currently in a major state of disarray, but it'll get there. Hey guys, it's Whitney and welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute, but I've been moving, so valid excuse. What I don't have a valid excuse for is not showing you guys the books that I've hauled since September. But anyway, I know you guys are here for the books, not to hear me ramble about nonsense. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. For once, I remember which books I got in which months because I was trying my damnedest to not buy as many books as I normally do. Things were going pretty good until November, and I'll share with you a little bit of why when we get there. For now, we're going to talk about some of the September books. So in September, I only bought 3 books, which is great, and I didn't pay full price for any of these. So the first one I have is Fierce Fairy Tales by Nikita Gill. I'm sure if you've watched my Witchathon vlog, you've heard me talk about this. I did not end up finishing it. This is just a collection of poetry based around different fairy tales. The next thing I got is The Lantern's Ember by Colleen Hulk. I picked this one up first because I saw the cover and then I read the little inside blurb and really enjoyed it. Then I realized that I've read a book by her before. The Reawakened, I believe is what it was called. It's sort of based around Egyptian lore. That one was sort of meh for me, but that book was published a while back and I would be interested to see how maybe she has grown as a writer, especially with this premise. It isn't like really based around folklore or anything like that or legends. I mean, maybe it is and I just don't know about this particular one, but what really drew me in here was this. Ember O'Dare has a secret. She's a natural born witch. From an early age, she's had a knack for crafting potions and felt an incredible pull to the ancient bridge in her town of Hollowell. I don't know if you would consider this a portal fantasy or just, I think you'd have to consider this a portal fantasy. Anyway, I like them. I like where people cross over into other worlds. So it had me hooked right there. And since I've read a book by this author before, I kind of just decided to stop there. Ooh, also, I just noticed this. On the back it says, "He has kept the darkest monsters and demons at bay for centuries. She is a bold, brilliant witch, dead set on slipping past him. The Crossroads Keeper may have finally met his match." And the last book that I got in October was A Foundry Side, and this is by Robert Jackson Bennett. I actually decided to pick this up after I'd seen it a couple of times at the store, but then I heard Sam's Nonsense talk about it and she really enjoyed it. This one is an adult fantasy. It is about a character who is a thief and her latest target turns out to be a magical artifact. So from what I understand, this book mixes a lot of technology with its magic, which I find really cool, seeing as I majored in information technology. I like it when science gets mixed in with magic. It's a lot of fun and it's not done as often. Now that we have September out of the way, we're gonna move on to October. In October, there were a ton of books that I really wanted, but I restrained. So the first one that I picked up in October was Beneath the Citadel by Destiny Soria. And I picked this one up because I heard that it is an LGBT fantasy and I am here for it. There's not enough of that, so I'm really hoping that it's true. I don't really have a reason to believe that it wouldn't be. I like to kind of go into books blind, so I don't overanalyze summaries. I like to pick out key parts that might really pique my interest. Besides all of the information I had seen about it being a sapphic story, another thing on the back did get my attention. And that was deep beneath the citadel, the executioner was awaiting. 4 people were supposed to die at sunrise. The 4 members of the council sat in the judgment hall prepared to declare the prisoners' fates. In a city governed by prophecies, can 4 powerful friends rewrite fate? So this one, from what I can gather, also has a bit of a political intrigue to it. This one is definitely at the top of my TBR. I want maybe to buddy read it with someone. If this is something you're interested in, do let me know. I love to buddy read things. It's a lot of fun, especially after I read City of Brass, and it was one of my new favorites. So the next book I picked up is The Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. Heard of Claire Legrand before, but I don't think I've ever seen her books get quite so much hype as this one has been getting. I picked this one up because it has a lot of LGBT rep in it. It has bi rep, lesbian rep, ace rep. I think that was it, but that's a lot. So I really wanted to read this. Also, the premise sounded really intriguing to me. For some reason, it struck me sort of like The Wicked Deep, which I didn't enjoy all that much. So I'm hoping this one will give me the feeling that I wanted from The Wicked Deep that I didn't get, even though it's not exactly the same thing at all. This one follows three girls whose paths either intersect or they were already intersected. I don't know how these girls met, okay? I don't know how they met. All I do know is that they met on the island of Sawkill Rock, where girls have been going missing for a very long time. In the summary, it actually says that they're stolen away by a ravenous evil that no one has dared to fight until now. Yes, please, now. I need it. I have it. I should read it. Next up, I have The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Tuchok. I have never read one of her books before. I've heard sort of mixed things. This one is a Beowulf retelling with a female cast. Entourage is not the right word, but that's the one that keeps coming to mind. A group of women fighting monster. Okay? Monster fighting badass women. There you go. I remember in high school that Beowulf was probably one of the best experiences I had with classic literature. So I think that's why I was so drawn to this one. I didn't read any more into the plot than that because I'd like to go in blind, especially if it is based tightly on the story of Beowulf, which I don't believe it is. And the last book I got in October is probably not a huge surprise to many of you, and that is Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. Since this is a sequel, I can't go very into detail about it, but I'm gonna have to trust that most of you know what this is about. This is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is, I believe, a duology, so this will be the last book. The first book was epic. Now we can move on to November, where I failed to be sensible with my spending. Granted, it really wasn't my spending, was it? It was my buying. I actually didn't spend very much money, but I bought a lot of things. I only bought 6 things, but with everything that happened in November, that's a lot. So before we get into the books, those of you who follow me on Twitter already probably know that we had an unfortunate accident happen with one of my birds where it had an accident in its cage and it ended up somehow losing its bottom beak. Literally, we were standing right there and it was in its cage. So I spent a lot of money at the vet. I spent a lot of time with the bird trying to make sure it got food and adapted to not having its bottom beak. So that was fun, because we had to learn how to feed a bird that couldn't eat seed, that usually eats mostly a seed diet. We got him to eat, he's good, he's gained his weight back, which is amazing, but it was stressful, and I stress bought, I'm not gonna lie. So I guess we'll go ahead and show you the books. The first one I actually got in my Scribbler crate. It was my last Scribbler crate, unfortunately, because we did move and I'm gonna be having to take on a few extra expenses because of that. Regardless, I got my last book and it is called Kill the Queen. This is an adult fantasy by Jennifer Estep. I was looking at this, she has written quite a number of books. Look at it, that is a long list of books. I really don't know what this book is about. Like I said, I got it in Scribbler. I haven't done all that much research on it, so let's find out together. It is set in a magical world where power determines one's worth. The main character has a lack of magical ability. There are dark forces at work inside the palace. When her cousin, the crown princess, assassinates her mother, the queen, and takes the throne by force, Evie is also attacked along with the rest of the royal family. Luckily for Evie, her secret immunity to magic helps her escape the massacre. Forced into hiding to survive, she falls in with a gladiator troupe. Though they use their talents to entertain and amuse the masses, the gladiators are actually highly trained warriors skilled in the art of combat. Uncertain of her future, or if she even has one, Evie begins training with the troupe until she can decide her next move. But as bloodthirsty Vasilla exerts her power, pushing Bellona to the brink of war, Evie's fate becomes clear. She must become a fearsome gladiator herself and kill the queen. Ooh, assassination and gladiators. Kind of like the Valiant, but not really. Sounds like it's worth giving a shot. Next up, I have a graphic novel, and that is Raven, Daughter of Darkness, Volume 1. This is just a graphic novel about DC's Raven. I mean, I don't feel like it's any more complicated than that. I typically don't read storyline information about comics. I just kind of jump in. So next up I have Strange Grace by Tessa Groton. This one I actually picked up because I opened it up to read some of the actual, writing in the story, and just the way that it's written and the way that it feels when you're reading it makes me like really think of my work in progress, and I like to read things that make me think of the way I want my work in progress to feel so that I can better convey that feeling to my own readers, which is the main reason I picked this one up. I hope that makes sense. So like I mentioned, I don't know a whole lot about what this book is about. In the synopsis here on the inside jacket, it says, long ago a village made a bargain with the devil to ensure their prosperity. When the slaughter moon rises, the village must sacrifice a young man to the depths of the devil's forest. Only this year, the slaughter moon has risen early, bound by duty, secrets, and the love they share for one another. Merwin, a spirited witch, Ruin, the expected saint and author, a restless outcast, will each have a role to play as the devil demands a body to fill the bargain. But the devil these friends find is not the one they expect, and the lies they uncover will turn their town and their hearts inside out. Something's gone wrong with the bargain. So my personal opinion on this is that in stories, feelings that the writing conveys is very important, at least for me. So if a story doesn't give me a certain feeling and it's just sort of like meh the whole time, it can really ruin a book for me. So reading books that sort of give that vibe right off the bat help me to develop my own technique and learn to hone how to do that myself, or what would be the best way for me to go about learning to do that. So next up, I have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. All I know about this one is that it is a space opera, heavy on the characters, and a lot of people that I trust really love this book. I don't read a whole lot of sci-fi, so I'm interested to see if I like this one. I believe it is about this girl who joins this crew to do something inside of wormholes. I am probably way off, but I swear that's what I remember. I'm probably wrong. Next up, I have Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. I actually picked this one up because it is blurbed by S.A. Chakrabarty, who wrote City of Brass, which is one of my new favorites. I've heard it talked about a few times, but not a lot. I believe that it should have more hype than it does. That's just my opinion, but adult fantasy kind of gets pushed to the side sometimes. But let's see. On the back, this one says, a nobleman's daughter with magic in her blood, an empire built on the dreams of enslaved gods. That's all I needed. She can manipulate the dreams of the gods to alter the shape of the world. When Mare's power comes to the attention of the emperor's most feared mystic, she must use every ounce of will, subtlety, and power she possesses to resist their cruel agenda. And should she fail, the gods themselves may awaken, seeking vengeance. So I feel like a lot of the covers that I have this month, there's kind of like a trend. There's a knife on them. So this one, the next one, and the last one that I have to share with you guys is The Brilliant Death by Amy Rose Capetta. And this one has LGBT rep in it. I am loving all of the LGBT rep coming out in all the fantasy recently. I love it. So yes, all of the LGBT fantasy, give it to me now. If you have recs, please leave them below. Please do it. Like I said, I love going into books blind, just knowing some basic themes that I really like are going to be in there. This one, I know from reading the back, is about a girl who's torn between the loyalty to her family and owning her power of shape-shifting. This one is also cool because she doesn't just like transform and shape-shift into animals. She shape-shifts into weird things like music boxes and mirrors and things. That was the last book I had to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found a good book that you may want to look into a little bit more, possibly pick up in the future. That is it for today. I hope you guys are reading something great, and I will see you next time. Bye.